It is possible to beat the impossible lair without completing a single level. I didn't do it, but it is possible. Welcome to completion number 179 of the Potato Backlog Project. Make sure you stick around for the only truly visible in the fourth dimension, Taterator. And let's talk about Yooka-Laylee and the impossible lair. Released in 2019, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is the sequel to the 3D platformer Yooka-Laylee, which released 2 years prior. I did a video on that game that released today as well. Go and watch it after this one, or go watch it now. Or, well, you've already watched it and now you're here at this one. You can go back and watch it though if you wanted to. Unlike its 3D platforming predecessor, the Impossible Lair is a 2D side-scroller with a unique and interesting twist. The core levels of the game are very reminiscent of the original Donkey Kong Country games, while the overworld hub connecting the levels is a kind of 3D top-down three-quarter view that reminded me more of the old Legend of Zelda games. The unique surprise and twist for me with the Impossible Lair was the Impossible Lair itself. You start the game off here without really knowing what it is, and you're essentially destined to fail this level for sure, like for sure. But going through the lair for the first time sets up the premise of the game, shows you what you'll need to do, what you're going up against, and leads you into your main objective going forward. Think of the lair as a gigantic gauntlet boss level, incredibly difficult platforming, designed to be punishing, and it's specifically made to destroy every thought you ever had about being a good gamer. It is possible to go into the lair and complete the game without finding or playing any of the other levels in the game. But there's no way you're doing that first go. No way. And if you did, then you're like the gifted god gamer or just a friggin' liar. After the initial run and failure through the lair, you'll be introduced to the Queen Bee character. She'll explain how her little soldier bees will protect you while you're making your way through the lair. You're then tasked with exploring the 3D overworld to find storybooks where the bees are being held captive. Each bee you rescue gives you another hit of life within the lair, essentially upping your chances to complete the lair. So the more of the game you explore and play, the easier time you're going to have completing the impossible lair. The premise and design of the game opens up so many possibilities for players. Completionists will love the item lists and organization of the game's worlds within the map. It's very easy to see where you need to go for more bees or where you might have left some areas unexplored. The overworld itself requires just as much exploring as some of the main 2D levels. Some of the puzzles and areas really did remind me of A Link to the Past, but there are some really fun and clever modern twists. The 2D levels are held within open storybooks that also have a second version of them to play, with a bee and 5 coins hidden in each version of the level. Part of the exploration of the 3D overworld is unlocking access to that other version of the storybook. Stuff like freezing or unfreezing a lake, turning a book completely on its side, having a giant furnace cough and blow smoke onto the book. There were a lot of fun and creative things done with this idea, and it really added to the unique charm of the game. The designers did a really great job making the different versions of the levels feel like unique levels of their own. They could have easily just reused some assets, thrown in more bad guys, changed the color palette, and called it a day. But these are very well thought out, well designed levels from start to finish. Well, the real cleverness in the design of the game is how the levels actually prepare you for the challenges of the impossible lair itself. Everything you need to know about the lair, the challenges, the obstacles, bad guys, mechanics, everything you'll find in the impossible lair will first be shown in one of those 2D levels. So while you can challenge yourself and try beat the lair early, you're most likely going to run into something you haven't seen before at some point in the lair and fail because of it. I initially attempted the lair early at about 10 bees rescued, to extremely underwhelming results. I tried again at 26, and I really felt I was doing okay until I again hit a progress wall and failed. At that point, I absolutely committed to finding every single bee in the game before going back and trying again. In the end, I think I found 45 or 46 of a possible 48 bees. There are 2 bees per storybook, and then some bees hidden within the 3D overworld itself. I was able to finish the lair with something like 10 bees left, and it was still extremely hard for me. The one thing I didn't like and took a little bit of issue issue with was the Impossible Lair didn't allow tonic effects during your runs. Tonics are one of the hidden items you'll find within the 3D overworld. They have the ability to change gameplay elements. Some of them can up certain difficulties within the game. There are tonics that alter character mechanics and even tonics that visually alter the game. Early on, I found one that allowed me to glide just a little longer during my jumps at the cost of some feathers for each level completed while using the tonic. I got really used to using this glide. It made playing the game feel like something closer to Donkey Kong Country 2 with Dixie's hair twirl float. So when it came time to do the Lair, I really struggled relearning how to play the game with the extremely short, almost hover the base Yooka-Laylee abilities give you. Not only do you have to explore to find the tonics, you then need to pay feathers to unlock them. You then have the ability to equip up to 3 at the same time, with the possibility of unlocking a 4th slot down the road. There's just a ton of game work done involving the tonics, and they can add a bunch of cool and fun things to the game. There are 2 versions of the Lair itself, so I really feel at least one of them should have allowed tonics to be applied during your run. It's just a little weird. Outside of that small gripe, everything else within the game is excellent. Everything is well thought out and connected. As a player, you'll be rewarded for curiosity and skill. The game allows you to explore it and tackle its challenges in different ways and at a pace that you're comfortable with. Polish-wise, it feels miles ahead of the team's first 3D offering, Yooka-Laylee. And I love that for the second game, they tried something completely different than what they had done with the first game. It would have been pretty easy for them to just throw together another 3D game, make it a little bit better, but they chose something incredibly different and it really paid off. It's kind of funny though, looking at the box art and the game art of the Impossible Lair, you wouldn't know it's a different style game from the first one. It was a little weird and jarring initially, but the game does a really great job of throwing you right into the action, so you don't have a lot of time to give it a second thought. With Yooka-Replaylee hitting soon, it's really going to feel like both games are on par with each other quality-wise. I think these are going to go down as underrated gems, and I hope more players discover them down the road. Go ahead and give them a play, give them a fair shake. These are good games. 5 happy potato faces out of 5. With that, the Backlog project rolls on. Be kind to yourselves and others that deserve it. We're on to the next one.